something which is calculated on the ultimate practical capacity of the airport. It's a very optimistic prediction from the airport, but essentially what happens is government just accepts the airport's predictions for their future capacity, and that involves having a 24-hour freight hub, movements which are close to the Gatwick Airport. The 20 ANEF is a level between 20 and 25 ANEF. The proposal is that there be no ability for someone to go in and ask for a rezone. So if you've currently got approval for a house and a granny flat, you can rebuild your house and your granny flat, but you can't do anything else. So while I recognise that most residents here would probably want to see the character of this area stay the way it is for a very long time to come, what this would do is actually restrict future options, as Peter said, for this area, also for parts of Royalla, for over near Sutton as well. So there's a number of areas where you'd actually find that you're being restricted by the capacity that the airport has predicted. Now, this, as Peter said, in most areas in Australia, the standard says that you won't develop residential development under anything over 25 ANEF. So that's on these maps you can see an area which takes in areas like the Poplars, for those of you who followed the Fernleigh development over the years, and that's quite rightly restricted from residential development. There won't be any there. But the 20 to 25 ANEF is an area which is the same in Sydney as saying that you wouldn't be able to develop or subdivide in Drummoyne or Balmain. So it's essentially that far from the airport, and it gives you an idea of just how far away it is. You guys know what sort of level of aircraft noise you get. The traffic noise from Canberra Avenue is noisier than that at my place in Queanbeyan. So it's really not huge restrictor on future development. And of course, in 20 to 25 ANEF, the current situation is that if you wanted to get a rezone, you'd go in, you'd probably have a condition put on your rezone which said that you've got to do noise attenuation, so double glazing or insulation and something like that. But what this is doing is essentially cutting out the opportunity to go in and put a case. It's saying you won't be able to go for a rezone or a change in your purpose. You won't even be able to put in a case. And that's where I think it's unfair, and it's particularly unfair in that the Minister put out this draft section, I think it's 117 direction. They didn't give a lot of time to comment, and from the letter I've received back from the Minister, it does appear that his mind is pretty much made up. And one of the people I was talking to yesterday said to me, and the Minister hasn't said this, but this is what I suspect. He said, it seems like there's a deal being done between, well, actually he said the airport had said to him that this was part of the deal for Fernleigh. Now that's what worries me, is that there was a deal done that says, well, we're going to go ahead and improve Fernleigh, which I support, but at the same time we'll make this decision. And what the Minister doesn't seem to be understanding is that this affects a lot bigger area than just the boundaries of Fernleigh. It affects right out here, right out, if you look at the map, quite a long way into Royalla and quite a long way up towards Sutton. So I would suggest that even though the time for submissions is closed, it is still a good time to let the Minister, Brad Hazzard, know that there are concerns about this and he should rethink this. My submission essentially points out the problems with it, but says that they should not proceed with this direction and rethink it. So
what is the internal process for the New South Wales government from here? Now they've asked for comment. They've got their comments. What do they do and how long does the process take?
This is a ministerial direction, so there's no, so essentially it can just happen. The Minister would get advice from the department generally, which says we've received submissions on this. This is our response to these submissions, and the Minister can then, it would make a recommendation to the Minister probably. Minister could then sign off on it straight away. There's no time process that needs to be gone through. Because it's a direction, there's no ability for us to move a disallowance. It's not like a regulation.
Right.
So we can't move a disallowance in the upper house as we could if it was a reg, or if it was legislated, we could take some action in the Parliament. I want to, as I said in my submission there, I think we probably all recognise the economic importance of the Canberra Airport, and and that is something which is important to the region. And I personally don't have a particular problem with expansion of passenger traffic to the airport, because that'll happen at reasonable times of the day and night. I have a problem with the projections being, I don't think, realistic in the long term, and then using that as the basis to affect planning decisions in the surrounding area, and particularly the fact that it's doing it in a way which is not consistent with anywhere else in Australia.
Yeah, there's a basis for that first, the basis, the fundamental flawed.
So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. I would suggest that it's certainly worth letting your voices be heard, whether or not that's through letters to the editor, through direct submissions to the minister. All those things are important to do, because it shows that there is more than just a developer, i.e. village building company and traillee, that's affected by this, that it is actually people that are affected by this.
It seemed like a very cynical move, even by New South Wales Planning and Infrastructure, to put out the letter, which I know was posted on the 24th of April, which was then we had Anzac Day on a Friday. We tend not to get our mail till the Monday, and then we had less than 2 weeks to respond. And the way the letter was couched, the terms it was couched in, was very much that it had absolutely no effect. Don't worry about it. It was complicated, it was hard to understand, it gave a very short time for responses, which to me was a very cynical move to try and get no one interested, to give us no time to get community involvement, the whole thing. And I guess in a democracy, I'd like to understand how we can ensure that this doesn't continually happen to people. It just doesn't seem right. It's very authoritarian.
Yeah, look, I don't know if the Minister believes, I'm assuming that he believes that it doesn't have an effect, because he's written back to me in exactly the same terms. And it very clearly does, because it is saying, while it's saying your existing entitlements are preserved, that's absolutely right. Any existing zoning that you have stays the same. The problem is that you also, as landholders, you don't have a right to get a rezone, but you have a right to apply for one. And that's what's being cut out.
So once this has gone through, how would we know that it's actually gone through?
The Minister it'll probably be, I assume it'll be in the Gazette. I haven't actually checked that, but I'm assuming the Minister will write back to all the people who put in a submission.
Right.
Yeah.